Just before 8:30 on our Friday morning, Texas Governor Greg Abbott has announced a crackdown on Venezuelan gang Tren de Aragua. This announcement coming earlier this week as Abbott directed the state's Department of Public Safety to designate it as a Tier 1 gang known as the worst of the worst. Joining me now in Studio A are Bryce Newberry, who has been in FBI Citizens Academy for the last 3 weeks. Good morning.
Good morning.
I understand this was a topic in one of the classes.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, the timing of the governor's announcement here is really interesting because just a couple of days before he made that announcement on Monday, we actually were sitting through the FBI Citizens Academy class, and special agents as well as task force officers from the FBI were telling us about Tren de Aragua. We learned that it's a gang that's operating here in the Houston area, and they wouldn't tell us how many members they suspect are here locally, but we know that this gang is known for violent crimes like sex trafficking, human smuggling, weapons, and narcotic trafficking. Those were some of the things that we discussed, and it's clear that there's really a effort by law enforcement all the way from like our state, our DPS, but also the FBI that are trying to look into what this gang is doing here in the Houston area.
All of these agencies working together. Any insight on how they are identifying any suspected members of this gang?
That's the part that really doesn't sound like an easy task right now, Zach, because they're just having to rely on some things like tattoos. We actually have a visual there on your screen, and you can tell that some of those tattoos are kind of generic. So, you know, these are not the only signs that the law enforcement is able to go off of, but they're also looking at things like, you know, phrases that they may use or how they operate here in the Houston area, kind of some of their patterns and routines. We know that also, according to law enforcement, these are usually military-aged men who cross the border from Venezuela. And this is how the governor actually described Tren de Aragua, also known as TDA, earlier this week.
TDA is characterized as MS-13 on steroids. TDA is the largest criminal organization in Venezuela. It started as a prison gang in the state of Aragua, Venezuela, and has now expanded to a transnational criminal organization. Officials are concerned about what is going on with TDA. Its recent expansion and entry of this gang could destabilize public safety in the United States as well as in the state of Texas.
Among everyone in law enforcement about this. And so as part of the governor's proclamation and his directive this week, DPS is now working on a database to keep track of any suspected members of TDA. There's also now this statewide operation that DPS is heavily involved in just to deter and disrupt any of TDA's potential activities here. And then I also learned in class, of course, that federal law enforcement is also tracking this gang really closely just to make sure that they really don't gain a foothold here in Texas.
Yeah. And for our viewers, if they're wanting more information, you are keeping up with a blog. You're updating that constantly, which, by the way, if you scan that QR code you see at the bottom of your screen, it will bring you to that blog. But talk to us about some other highlights within the class.
Yeah, there's been so much that we've learned. I just actually had the third class last night. And so one of the topics that came up actually last week is this whole issue of violent crime in Houston. I mean, it seems like it's so frequent and it's pretty violent. So they explained to us kind of their theory for why that is here in the Houston area. Some of the different factors include the city's sprawling size, just a large population here in Houston for criminals to hide in, and that's also the ease of moving around. You think of all of the freeways that we have for them to get from one place to another. You know, we talked about some of the other big cities where
close by.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about like New York, LA, if these criminals are out committing these crimes, then they have a lot of traffic and things to deal with, and we think traffic is bad here in Houston, but as they were explaining to us, you know, it's really like pretty easy when you have all these freeways and it's so close you can just hop on, you know, after doing something. They also talked about just the plethora of nightclubs and bars where it's easy to traffic sex or drugs, and so that was kind of an interesting concept as well because, you know, people who are from other places that are in Houston, you know, there's a lot of clubs that may cater to them. We also talked about this, Zach. I didn't know this because this was before my time here in Houston, but from 2017 to 2019, Houston actually accounted for 25% of the country's armored car robberies. There was a time that, you know, our station and others were covering
Right.
all of these armored car robberies across town. And so we really got an inside look at that investigation. We got to see a lot of the surveillance videos and the body camera videos that they had from that. And we learned that license plate readers were actually a big factor in taking one of those crews down. There was a law enforcement officer who actually said that license plate readers are the best advancement in his 18-year career. And it's interesting because that's a tool I think that we talk about a lot with some of the cases that we're covering every day. It seems like those are a really important tool that are helping investigators every day. I mean, just last week with the Karen Miles case missing out of Missouri City. You remember that license plate readers came in handy there when they arrested the suspect now charged with capital murder. They arrested him because initially he was in her vehicle with stolen plates on it, and it was those license plate readers that actually helped. So a lot of interesting information that we're learning every week, and this is just the beginning. I still have a little over a month to go.
Yeah, connecting all the dots for us on the issues that we care most about. Bryce Newberry, thank you so much. With that, it is 8:34 on our Friday morning. We want to toss things over to meteorologist Justin Stapleton to get a check of our weekend forecast. We made it, sir.
Yeah, we did. Let's do it. Let's head down to Galveston. We were talking to the folks at the Sandcastle Festival just a bit ago, and boy, that looks like it's going to be fun. It is going to be hot today and tomorrow, though. Let's keep that in mind if you are headed on down there. A little bit of a breeze as you look at the seawall, looking good so far. Here's what it looks like into downtown. Not a whole lot of cloud cover just yet, but just like yesterday, we'll see the clouds build. High pressure is in control over our forecast, though, so we're not talking about big thunderstorms developing. Just not going to get going today. In fact, I'd be hard-pressed to see more than 10% chance area-wide. Feels like numbers, these are going to start racing back up into the 90s and triple digits as we get to this afternoon. There is still some fog that we're dealing with out here. Parts of eastern Liberty County, down around El Campo, some improvement here in Fort Bend County. That's good news. And then right now, looks like we've got some heavy stuff up here, northern Walker County, and then you can also see it out 290 as you get out parts around Brenham as well. Speaking of, they're at 79 in Brenham right now. We've got 75 in Tomball, 82 down on the island. Upper 70s, Liberty, Winnie, 76 in Livingston, 78 as you get on down to Sugar Land there. And for today, once again, we'll be back up into the mid-90s. We're going to see temperatures about 94, 95, 96, and that'll be the stretch through the week.